My kids sided with their mom's affair partner and cut me off for years, so when they returned for my money, I gave them a lesson they'll never forget. 8 years ago, I, a 56-year-old male, found out that my wife, Marie, a 52-year-old female, had been cheating on me with one of her friends from college. The affair had been going on for almost a year when I finally caught them. After I found out, I moved out of my house and immediately filed for a divorce. We had already been having a pretty rough time in our marriage because she didn't think that I was bringing home enough money as a high school baseball coach. Even though I was doing my best, she just constantly kept complaining about everything. We would fight very frequently. In my head, filing for divorce was not a very difficult decision. At the time, our 2 children had moved out already, so I had nothing to stay for either. Unfortunately, that divorce cost me my relationship with my kids as well, because for whatever reason, they decided to side with their mother. Initially, they tried to convince me to go easy on her just because she had been a stay-at-home mom for a really long time. So, they tried to tell me that she must have been bored with the monotony of her life. On top of that, after they had moved out, we had started bickering over every little thing as well. Naturally, she wasn't happy. I was going through a bit of a rough patch financially as well, but I couldn't understand why my kids were trying so hard to get me to forgive Marie, especially considering the fact that I was going through the exact same problems that she was. Yet, I hadn't gone out of my way to cheat on her. In fact, after every fight that we would have, I would try to make it up to her and make her feel special somehow. Obviously, none of that meant anything to her, and I was very upset that my children were trying to get me to give her a second chance. So, I ended up fighting with them over this as well. For a while, they cut me out of their life. After the divorce was finalized, I started feeling really lonely, especially since just 2 months after the divorce, Marie ended up remarrying the guy she had been having an affair with. I was not on speaking terms with my kids at the time, but then I tried to reach out to them and they did forgive me, but that was just something that they said for the sake of it. I don't think they really did forgive me at the time because for the next couple of years, they did not even invite me to any of their milestones. As a matter of fact, I hardly had anything to do with my children up until earlier this year. The only reason they're trying to get along with me right now is because I started my own business with a couple of my friends a few years ago and all of a sudden it started taking off recently. So, I'm doing pretty well for myself and I'm guessing that that's what they're here for. For context, I had been working a really long time as a high school sports coach, but unfortunately I was severely underpaid and overworked. I had a buddy who worked in another school and the two of us were having a hard time with money. While trying to come up with some retirement plans, the two of us decided that we were going to speak to a couple of other people and try to start our own facility. That way, we would still be able to coach kids because that's what we were really good at, and we had a lot of experience doing that as well, but we would be able to turn it into a business, and that would be our retirement plan. So, we got another friend who was interested and had business acumen on board with us. We started this. Honestly, we hadn't expected anything big out of it at the time, but we are proud to say that right now we are doing really well for ourselves and I'm proud of how far we have come. Our facility is pretty popular and we are thinking about branching out soon. I'm guessing that my kids must have heard of it because they reached out to me earlier this year and started trying to get on my good side. Initially, I was really happy that they were trying to involve me more in their lives because I thought that they had finally come to their senses or something. I didn't suspect that they might have ulterior motives, but a couple of days ago, the two of them came to visit me. My oldest, Gavin, and his sister, Hannah, are both married now. Gavin got married 6 years ago, and Hannah got married 4 years back. I was not invited to either wedding because they told me that their mother would be there along with her husband, and it would just get too awkward for everyone. I was very upset about it, but they told me that it can't be helped, the wedding would be too full, and promised to make it up to me at some point, which they never really did. But like a fool, I kept waiting for them to realize someday that I was just as much a parent to them as their mother was. I thought it was finally happening. But then when they visited me recently and started telling me about how they had heard that my business was doing really well and they wanted me to start spending more time with my grandkids and also help them out with some money, I finally realized what was actually going on. It was really difficult for me not to get mad at them at the time, but I told them that I would definitely consider it and they seemed happy enough, so they left. But after they were gone, I blocked them everywhere because I was pretty sure that they were trying to use me for my money. Gavin has 2 kids. One of them is 5 years old and the youngest is just 1 year old. From what I know, Hannah just gave birth to her daughter 6 months back. Guess what? I have not met any of my grandkids yet. It's been 5 years since my first grandkid was born, and I haven't even met him. Of course, it hurts. I've tried to get Gavin to bring over his kids or try to get them to invite me over so I can meet them. When Hannah's daughter was born, I tried to meet her as well, but they always just declined. It was always the same excuse that Marie and her husband would be there and didn't want things to get awkward. I would always have to understand and let it go. It hurt. Now they finally want to give me a chance to play grandpa. I'm guessing it's all because things are not going well for them financially. I had no idea about any of this earlier, which is why I hadn't cut them out of my life entirely. Just putting this out there anyway. I'm not really in touch with most of the extended family and I'm not one for family gossip. But after my kids visited me after so many years and started trying to be nice to me and stuff, I could guess that something was very weird about the situation. So after they left, I blocked them, and just to satisfy my own curiosity, I decided to do some asking around about what my kids were up to. That is how I managed to find out that they were having a really rough patch financially for the past couple of years. On top of that, things were not exactly sunshine and rainbows with their stepdad anymore. I found that really shocking because from whatever photos they had been posting after their mother got remarried, it seemed as if the family was very close to the guy. But apparently things are going sour because he's planning on selling his company. They deal in furniture, and after Marie married him, my kids started working in his company. I don't want to say it because I'm not sure, but I'm guessing that that's why they were so eager to take their mom's side in the divorce, because they believed that if they got me to go easy on their mother instead of dragging out the divorce, it would guarantee them a spot in their stepdad's company. Basically, they had been bought out by Marie's affair partner, and I never found out about it because I had never even suspected something like that happening. Anyway, the problem right now is that the company hasn't been doing well in the past couple of years, and Marie's husband wants to sell it, but my kids want him to retain the business. He's the owner of the company, so he stands to benefit the most from the deal. He's lucky enough to have even found a buyer right now. But my kids don't approve of the deal because even though they'll get a portion of the proceeds as shareholders and upper management employees, they're still obviously going to be losing their jobs, and they want a long-term plan for themselves. It's a whole thing, and a lot of people from the family know about it because Marie is a bit of a big mouth and she has been venting about this to literally everyone who will listen. So, it's no big secret that their family is fighting right now, and I'm guessing that's why Gavin and Hannah decided to come to me for help. It's no big secret that we are doing well. We are running ads and stuff, and the whole word of mouth thing is also going pretty well for us. So, after putting all this together by speaking to a bunch of my relatives, I decided that I was going to keep my kids blocked and I had no interest in their lives. For the past 8 years, they had had no interest in mine, and even right now, they are only here because they're in trouble. It feels insulting, and I feel like an idiot for having counted on them to come to their senses at some point and apologize to me. But a couple of days after I blocked them, they showed up at my door again and they started demanding that I let them in. Even though I told them that I was not interested in talking to them, I told them that I had heard from the family what was going on with them and their stepdad. I knew that they were only here because they wanted financial help from me, and that the reason they had left me in the first place was because their stepdad could offer them secure jobs in upper management positions that I couldn't. I called them sellouts. In retaliation, they started accusing me of being insensitive and resentful because apparently they had no such intentions. They told me that they really just wanted to make things right with me because they had realized that at the end of the day, I was still their father and they couldn't just constantly prioritize Marie over me. They also told me that the only reason they had asked me for financial help was because of their kids, not just because I was doing well for myself financially right now. They said that it was disgusting that I had even come to that conclusion after listening to a bunch of no-good gossip mongers from the family. This happened 2 days back, and I've been very upset about all of this. It's so bad that I've had to take time off work because I really can't stop thinking about what I'm doing right now. I know that logically and rationally, the rest of the family is probably not lying to me. They wouldn't stand to gain anything from it. Also, the rest of my family has always been nice to me, especially after my divorce. They have always looked out for me, and I really appreciate that. So, I don't think that they are lying about anything, and neither are they gossiping. They're just telling me what I asked them about because I was the one who went digging into this situation. That being said, I also don't understand if I should actually give my kids a chance to fix things with me or not and just help them out financially a little. After all, I am indeed doing well enough to support them. I'm pretty sure that they're not asking for a long-term thing. They're probably going to get a job after the company gets sold, and they're probably just asking me to be their safety net because of their kids. I haven't exactly spoken to them about what kind of money they really want, whether it is going to be an investment or a loan or just plain old goodwill. But either way, I know that financial support is a part of this. I feel like just because of something like that, I really don't want to let go of an opportunity to reconnect with my children and actually get to build a relationship with my grandkids. The way they spoke about the situation the other day that they visited, I've been thrown for a curveball and I really don't know what to think anymore. I've just been constantly stressed out, and I keep thinking that maybe I'm making the biggest mistake of my life by shutting my kids out of my life, and maybe I'm being insensitive and resentful like they said. If I do let my ego get the better of me, I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to get another chance to make it work with my family. The only thing that's stopping me right now is because I fear that I'm being used and I really don't want that. I just don't know what to think anymore. I feel lost and I don't even think that I have anybody I can talk to about this freely. So, I'm here. Please just try to understand that I'm just an old man trying to figure out life after having pretty much been on my own since my divorce. As much as I hate to admit it, I do miss my children a lot and I want them in my life, but I'm not sure if this is the right way to go about it. I guess I really needed a reality check on the situation because out of desperation, I had actually started considering talking to my kids, but I know that I'm being used and I shouldn't be such a doormat for them. That's what I have been all these years. They would speak to me as if they were doing me a favor. Even then, they would always snub me because they preferred Marie and her husband. Now that I finally know why exactly they preferred him, I don't think there's any going back from here. I've even spoken to my buddies about it while we were at work. While they knew the history and everything, when I told them about the current situation, about everything that I had found out just recently, they were appalled. They said that initially, since they had believed that my kids had been manipulated by Marie and that's why they did not want to keep in touch with me, they still believed that there could be some scope for reconciliation. But now that they know that they had technically been bought out by their stepdad, there was just no coming back from it. They told me to keep my kids blocked for the sake of my own self-respect and sanity because if I didn't, they would end up burning a hole in my pocket for sure. I still don't know what kind of money they wanted. It could have been a small amount, but even then I don't really owe it to them. Even if they were being truthful the other day that they were asking for the money for their children and not for themselves, I still don't owe it to them. They have never brought my grandkids over to see me, and neither have they allowed me to go over to see them. So, why would I have a connection with anyone? I know it sounds kind of insensitive, but it's true. I can't start feeling bad for every kid that I haven't even met and giving away money in the form of charity. So, if that makes me insensitive and resentful of their language, then so be it. I don't care and I don't need to justify myself to them. I'm just going to keep myself far away from them and live my life. It is going to hurt, but I don't think it can hurt any more than it has for the past 8 years. If I put up with that without complaint, I think I can deal with the aftermath of cutting them off right now as well. At least this time, it's going to be my choice and I'll be in control of the situation instead of them treating me badly. I was busy with a training session with a couple of students and usually I don't take meetings during that time. Whoever wants to meet me has to wait, but apparently they had refused to wait. I don't know why they were expecting special treatment given the fact that nobody even knew that they were my kids. Even if they did, that did not entitle them to preferential treatment. Anyway, our receptionist informed me of the situation and told me that they were not willing to wait. I was pretty annoyed, so I decided to ask security to escort them to my office and make them wait there so they wouldn't cause a scene in the lobby. Then I took my own sweet time to finish up the training session. After making them wait for almost half an hour, I finally went back to my office so they could meet me. It was petty, but they needed to learn a lesson that they couldn't just show up at my workplace and expect me to entertain them regardless of what time of day it was. Anyway, when I finally went back to my office, it was very obvious that Gavin and Sarah were both very upset. My grandkids also seemed pretty bored and fussy. As soon as I walked into my office, they started lecturing me about the importance of time and told me that it was very rude of me not to talk to them and make them wait so long on purpose, just out of spite, especially when I knew for a fact that my grandkids were also here with them. Their entitlement was really annoying. So, I told them I treated them just the same as I would have treated anyone who would come to meet me during a training session. If other people could wait for me to finish doing my job and then meet me, they could do the same. The fact that they expected special treatment from me just because they were my kids was really stupid. Especially considering the fact that I hadn't even been treated well by them in the past, let alone receiving special treatment even though I was their father. Their decision to bring their children along with them was their own fault. This was a training facility. I had a job here that was important to me. So if they couldn't handle the fact that I was treating them normally, they were free to leave. The only reason they had waited was because they wanted to. I hadn't forced them. I had been very curt with them and I could see that they were upset, but I guess they needed the favor from me. So, they didn't make matters worse for themselves. Instead, they changed the topic pretty quickly and they told me that they had brought their kids along to meet me for the first time so I could actually build a relationship with them and start feeling like a grandpa for the first time in my life. It was really hard for me, but I had to shoot that down. I told them that I was heading home since that had been my last training session of the day. Now that I was done, I just wanted to go home and relax. Besides, I knew exactly what they were trying to do. They were using the grandkids to get on my good side, and this was not going to work. I told them that it was pretty spineless of them to try and use their children so they could have access to me. It's just unethical. They started defending themselves, telling me that that's not what they were trying to do. They had just brought their kids along because they wanted me to meet them. We ended up arguing over it because it was blatantly obvious that this was not coming from a place of genuineness. They just wanted my money, and that's why they were desperately trying to make sure that I give them another chance. I could see right through them no matter how much they insisted on it. I told them that it was too little, too late, and I did love my grandkids at first sight. All of them are adorable, and I really wish that we had met under different circumstances. But then again, that's something that their parents are to blame for. Anyway, after the argument, they started insisting that at least I hear them out and let them tell me about their plan for which they need my money. But I told them that I wasn't interested. Even when they had been arguing, they had started sounding quite frustrated. After I told them that I wasn't interested, Gavin lost his temper and started yelling at me. Then the kids started crying because he was being quite vicious, so I started trying to comfort the kids while they were busy trying to argue with me. It was so infuriating that at one point I told them that if they did not want me to call security and have them thrown out of the building, then they should clear out by themselves instead of making me do it because I was getting sick of them. I meant business. I guess they had realized that. So, they finally left after telling me that I was being completely heartless and my ego was going to bring me down, but that didn't matter to me. I just wanted to go home and get some rest. So, that's what I did. It's been 24 hours since then and I still haven't unblocked them, and I don't plan on doing that either, especially after what happened yesterday. I don't think that I need to. I'm done. Hello. It has been 3 days since I last met my children. I obviously have not unblocked them, but they have not stopped trying to get in touch with me. Earlier today, they sent me an email from a new address apologizing for everything that went down recently. They told me that this was not the way that they had expected things to unfold, but they could understand why I was upset with them. Initially, they had been very annoyed that I was acting like this, even though they were trying to make things right with me. But now, after giving it a lot of thought, they had realized that they kind of deserved it. They also confirmed everything that I had already known, that everything that I had heard about them was true, and it wasn't just baseless gossip. They had just been a little taken by surprise when I accused them of choosing their stepdad over me just because of the security that he could provide financially. They hadn't seen it coming, and they had also been a little offended. But at the end of the day, it was true, so they couldn't really do anything to change that. But now, they had realized that while looking out for themselves, they had become very selfish, and I had deserved better. At this point in time, I was totally entitled to shut them out, but the only thing that they would request me to do was not do that to the kids. They also told me the plan that they had. They were actually planning on asking me to invest in the business that they were starting together. Obviously, they cannot stop their stepdad from selling his company. It's completely his decision as the primary owner, but they were going solo now, and they didn't want to jeopardize their own finances. So, they were thinking about getting a couple of investors on board. Their first thought had obviously been me, since they were not getting along well with their stepdad right now. After a lot of thinking, they realized that they had been selfish this time around as well, trying to get me on board as an investor, but never really being sorry for everything that they had done in the past. So, they were writing this email to just apologize to me and tell me that if I wanted to meet my grandkids, I could call them anytime that I wanted and they would show up, and they didn't even want me to invest in their business anymore. It would be completely my decision. After reading that email, I was a bit confused about what to do since it seemed pretty genuine. But then again, I've been taken for a fool before, and I don't want that to happen again. However, I do want to build a relationship with my grandchildren. So, I guess I'm going to have to think about it. Whatever I decide, I'll post it here after a while. For now, though, I just want a break from everything. So, for the next couple of days or maybe weeks, I won't be posting so frequently. Hey! I gave it a lot of thought, and now that it has been almost 2 months since they last reached out to me, I decided that I was going to try and build a relationship with my grandkids at the very least. I know that with my kids for a fact, it'll take us a long time to reconnect. But that's not the case with my grandchildren. I'm already 58. I'm not getting any younger, and I don't want to waste any time or opportunities that I'm getting to spend with my family, no matter how little it is. Besides, my grandkids have already grown a lot without knowing their grandpa. By grandpa, I mean their biological and real grandpa. So, a couple of days ago, I finally wrote back to my children on that email address and told them that I would be more than happy to welcome them with their spouses and grandkids for dinner at my house this weekend. But in the same email, I also made it very clear that I would not be investing in their business. If they were expecting me to help them out financially at any point, they could forget about it. If that meant they were not going to be willing to visit me, I was fine with that as well. I just wanted to make it abundantly clear to them that I had my boundaries and that I was not going to allow them to cross them. The tone of my email in the later part had been quite stern, so I hadn't exactly expected them to reply the same day, but thankfully they did. They told me that they did not expect me or want me to invest in their business. They did not deserve it, but they did want me to be able to build a relationship with my grandkids. So, they were happy to accept my dinner invitation. That's how they ended up coming over for dinner yesterday, and we actually had a pretty nice time. Their spouses are really nice people, and all of them apologized to me for everything that had happened in the past, and they told me that they were looking forward to starting again, and I am too. I would really want to have a family because honestly it gets kind of lonely, and soon enough I'm going to be retiring as well. So well, I guess this is a good time and opportunity as any to fix things. I'm really happy that my kids finally decided to reach out to me and do the right thing. Hopefully things will get better for us in the future.